And there'll be people out there milling around, and then like, whoa, incoming.
Or cars.
One time I went on the train tracks, the commuter rail, like behind it.
In San Francisco, it goes into the water, and so they have this.
Oh yeah. I've seen those guys.
Kayaks.
They try to go and get it. Oh, really?
Houston did a good job with that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
We had a chance to go. Were you there, or I went?
I don't think I
The Houston.
Or to that ballpark?
Yeah, with the train that comes out when they.
Yeah, I've been to that part a
Mhm.
few times.
Okay.
Just today and that, like it's pretty close.
Right. It's fun to see a lot of the other ballparks.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time? Okay.
You got a nice like countdown going over there.
Oh, okay. That's easy.
Count up, really.
A count up.
You would need a lot of.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like, oh, yeah, and I guess you have to not have it.
How's it going? 5 people.
Yeah, she just made a live.
Oh, good.
So I'm gonna
Oh, that's good. Good morning. Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Even I was like,
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
because the
Chris, thanks for coming over, man.
Yeah. Yeah, once like the
Absolutely.
the fourth inning was over, I was like,
Ah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Have you been to this space lately?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's a real beehive of activity
The
now.
game before, it's just like, I feel like we almost had resigned to like, well, we'll give it a shot with this picture we never had used before. But, you know, we had such a large.
I want to say about 2 years ago.
The strategy
Oh,
was
good.
almost like, let's just wear out the Astros bullshit for them to get the win, and then, yeah. We'll win later.
Oh, yeah. All Braves all the time around here with this guy. He would listen to every game this whole year.
Oh, I was listening to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
I drove
It was
today.
so, I'm so glad it's over.
Yesterday, so I was like, I'm not
I'm
gonna-
ready to actually get to bed.
Yeah, I
early
couldn't take any more
sometime.
late nights. Or, I know it. There's like those start times and the 4-hour games are just terrible. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, the games are so long. And, yeah, no, just a late start time. Right?
I think they need to like somehow bring like the concept of speed chess into baseball. Like there needs to be some penalty if it takes too long. It's
Somebody's
just,
trying something like that.
Yeah, they've tried it in minor leagues. So.
Dude, welcome. Thank you. Glad you can make it for this, man.
yeah.
All right, I guess
Yeah,
we
it's
should
a long
sit
time.
down.
You get to hear about how I almost got fired when I was an assistant professor.
Yeah, you told me that.
Sit down. All right, we'll start sitting.
Okay. Oh, dude, I was going to send you an article. I saw Zillow shut down their entire iBuying.
I know, but mine was like a good deal. It's in like a Marietta East Coast.
For the playoffs, I was able to.
The seller asked for like a $500,000.
And it's just on ESPN.
I cut it out for like 20,000.
Nice. Dude, congrats. When do you close?
Next week.
Oh, man. Congratulations. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's why I was like busy on Friday mornings just to deal with those bank stuff, and that's why I couldn't come to that meeting.
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad I know you were really looking, and so I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, it's a big relief after that.
Just so you know, we're on live here, so maybe have a seat.
It's on.
Yeah, it's on right now. Luckily, we didn't say anything incriminating. Hey, Devesh, glad you can make it, man.
I changed
Really
my
glad you
travel so I can.
Oh, really?
Here. So I'm virtually in Minnesota.
Do you want to introduce me?
I think Steve is chair.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who was going to do it. So. Steve, hey, dude.
How are you doing?
You got everything you need for the intro?
Well, semi yes, semi no. We thought Wayne was giving the intro, but he's not.
Oh,
here,
he's the
so-
winner. Okay.
So what I was told, I mean, we can do the intro, but
Hey, Bill.
Good luck today. Don't choke. It's a big time.
Unless you want to nominate Bill or Ray Vito, or there's a lot of people who can do it. Yeah. How about we have Ray Vito do it?
we can do it.
Can I have a?
We can. I was just told the
Speaker's
history
discretion?
was as the previous winner was announcing
Yeah.
the new winner, but
Well, how about
in light of that, we can easily have Ray.
What's the word? Speaker's
prerogative.
prerogative. Yes, I'm going to nominate Ray.
All right. Why don't we get it going?
Hey.
Just so that we can do that.
Yeah, we'll start at 11:05 in a few minutes,
Okay.
and we're live online too, by the way. And Ashley's helping with that.
11:01.
So you're doing
Ray, we
Ray.
just nominated you to do the intro.
intro.
Oh my gosh.
So think about what you're going to say. You got 2 minutes. Now, you know, Ray spoke at my wedding, so if he can handle that, he can handle this. Yo, dude, glad you can make it. Glad you can make it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Tim
Yeah.
should be here in just a second.
Fantastic, fantastic. Glad you guys can come down for it.
You know, and excited to hear.
Yeah, man. I was telling everybody, you guys are the only ones that went through every single program I've been involved with at Georgia Tech. The only one ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The full Monty.
Hey.
Capstone, I2P, Startup Launch, InVenture Prize, Invention Studio, and Tim even worked in my lab.
Yeah.
That's the full gauntlet. Okay, so we're... Hi, Melody.
Hey, how are you?
Wayne.
So Ray's gonna do the intro.
Oh, I was going to ask Ray to do it if that's okay.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
you know,
That's
Does
fine.
he know that?
yeah,
Ray,
speaker's prerogative.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
Well, not
I hope
really.
you won't
know,
be.
You make your own rules.
I'm sorry, Melody.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Melody. I didn't even know Wayne was going to be here.
Yeah.
No one told me.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the normal procedure. Normally the lecturer shows up and gives the lecture. We handle everything else. But it's okay. You're good.
I'll sit on the bright side.
You're good.
There you go. Thank you.
You're good. Here you go.
All right, terrific. So audio is good. We're good. Everything's good, right? Okay. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we'll start here in just like 30 seconds. How are we doing on the online?
We have 22.
Oh, amazing.
And so I'm going to tell them that there's an Q&A
Okay,
there.
perfect, perfect. Okay, Ray. Ray, you want to come on up? All right. Testing, testing, testing. All right. All right, and you got to stand in this blue square
Why?
because we're live on the internet.
On the internet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Good morning. My name is Ray Vito. For those of you who don't know me, which probably it's going to be. Have to be loud. Yeah. This isn't working. Yeah.
It is.
Be loud. No problem. I can be very loud, as a matter of fact. No problem. Loud is good. Well, Craig, as usual, always good at springing things on people, so he asked me to get. It shouldn't be too hard because I've known him since he was undergraduate, and he was, a troublemaker back then too. But when he came to Georgia Tech, he had a pretty clear vision of what he wanted to see for students. Stuff that was really made a lot of sense, and he had seen students have a lot of success at MIT with pursuing their own ideas, having the freedom to do that, getting rewarded and acknowledged for doing that. So he immediately set out to sort of bring that kind of culture to Georgia Tech. Well, it wasn't the culture of Georgia Tech. Anybody who knows anything about culture change knows you want to change it. It takes work, it takes sacrifice, it takes risk. And Craig had all the skills, number one, and also the guts to essentially do that. Assistant professor trying to change things at Georgia Tech, but pretty gutsy. But he managed to succeed in pretty much everything he's worked on. And that's been really wonderful for me to see and to be a part of in some instances for sure. And I can't tell you the conversations we've had over the years about what's the next step and what next thing's going to happen. But Craig is a real asset to Georgia Tech, mechanical engineering, engineering in general. And I think we've already begun to see the fruits of sort of the things he's been involved in. I know CreateX is something he's very much engaged in now. And if those of you who do not know, we celebrated on Saturday, with Craig to do this, a unicorn company, which for those who don't know the jargon, a unicorn company is a company that's worth $1 billion. And that is an undergraduate sleeping company that started at Georgia Tech, participated in CreateX. What a wonderful thing. It's really a milestone work. I don't want to take any more of Craig's time. I'll introduce you once again to Craig Forrest, who will give us a talk today, a Ziegler lecture about engaging student ownership of making, invention, and entrepreneurship. Craig.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, it means a lot for Ray to introduce me here, since he's been a partner in crime from day one. I think I started in August 2008, and right off the bat, we met, I think, at the Fox Theater at one of the orientation events, and we've been conspiring for 13 years on these things. Every step of the way, we've been together on this stuff. And I want to start off by acknowledging some of the previous winners who are here. Wayne Whiteman, congratulations, last year's winner. Bill Singhose is here, a couple years prior, and many others. I've often attended the Ziegler lecture and found it inspiring, and I'm just so honored to be able to join their company now. And for some of you out there who will be winning this in the years to come, I look forward to helping you. Maybe David Hu over here. I look forward to helping you with your educational innovations, helping you be up here giving your talk in a few years. Now, I wanted to have this talk in this pretty unorthodox place. I don't know how many of you have attended a seminar here in the lobby, but it's a little unorthodox. There's like active machine shops around us and students working on their class projects, and I love that. This is where I thought we should be to really celebrate student invention. Almost everything I'm going to show you on these slides today was done right here in this very room. So I know it's a little unorthodox, but it's a very special place, and I'm honored to have a chance to give this talk here. So let's jump in. I got one intro slide. It's this one. Back in 2004, the National Academy of Engineering put out this statement called the Engineer of 2020. So they're predicting in the next 16 years, we got to train engineers differently. They can't just have the analytical skills and the communication skills and the ethical standards that we've all been teaching. They've also got to have things like practical ingenuity and creativity. How are we going to teach that? Okay, I mean, to be honest with you, when I showed up here in the fall of 2008, Georgia Tech looked a lot like this. Okay, and I'm sure for some of you who've been around, this is not that shocking. You got your class with all the students on Facebook. You got your labs, your undergraduate labs, where you come in and you kind of follow these steps as quickly as possible and get your data so you can go home and write the report. Not really much creativity there. And then you've got your, of course, your machine shop where there's this pretty scary looking guy here. I mean, if I was a student, I wouldn't want to ask that guy for help. He doesn't really look like me. He looks kind of grumpy. So how do we go from this state of the art to the things on that call from the NAE? So I'm going to show you the efforts we've made over the past 13 years to do that. I'm going to show you in a couple different ways. One is I'm going to show you an invention competition where 1,000 people pack the first center every March to watch Georgia Tech's best inventors on stage. And this is also a reality television show broadcast live throughout the state of Georgia with 50,000 people watching on television through a partnership with PBS. I'm going to show you a space, the space right behind me, where it's a machine shop run by 18-year-olds for free. It's kind of nuts. It's open 24/7. There's equipment that can kill you in there, and the most heavily used machine in the machine shop is the couch. And I'm going to show you the Fox Theater with 1,000 people in attendance, watching 85 startup companies pitch their inventions, one of which, as Ray mentioned, was recently valued at $1 billion, and that company is run by two 24-year-olds. I'm going to show you the Capstone Expo as well. This is a huge celebration of our undergraduates at the culminating experience of their undergraduate career. Here, the winners get cash prizes, and they're competing against hundreds of other teams, and we had 5,000 people come to one of these events, pre-COVID, and we will again soon. So how do we get there? How do you get to these four beautiful images from that boring lecture hall? So let's go into it. Okay, I'm going to show you, and it all starts with my own capstone design project in 2001. Okay, so right here in this very lobby, I took capstone design with Harvey Lipkin 20 years ago, almost today, 20 years ago, and we built this crazy bike rack. See, I'm an avid cyclist. Okay, for those that don't know. And I was back then as well. And I lived in an apartment off campus where I had my mattress on the floor in the dining room. And my two bikes were hanging right above the mattress from the ceiling. And it was always frustrating to me that we couldn't get the bikes down. I couldn't get my bike down to ride to school. I had to lift it up off of a hook. It was like a, hook on the ceiling. And it would rain down that white snow on me every morning while I was from the ceiling to ride to school. So I talked to my team about, hey, can we fix this problem I've got? So we came up with this idea. It's called the claw. See, And you lift your bike up and the claw grabs it. That's the idea. And so I want to give props to my teammates, Jesse Barton, John Gassett, Urmel Soljozovic, Randy Tadros, and Ed Talbot. This is the actual slide from our final presentation. And we did our, okay, we were good engineers. See, we did our houses of quality, okay? We did our isometric CAD models. Okay, we did our FEA. Uh-oh. We did our FEA. Martin, can you make sure that, jiggle that thing a little bit? Hello? Testing? Testing, testing. There we go. Thanks, Martin. Are we back? Hello? There we go. Thank you. We did our FEA. We did our final report. And here it is. I found the actual email from April 25th, 2001 to Harvey Lipkin saying, hey, here's our finished prototype and a project poster. And our highest goal, and I am honest, sincere when I tell you, our highest goal that was possible for us at this time, my thinking in April 2001 was that we would hope that our project poster can be displayed in the design laboratory. That was like success. Like, wow, we left Georgia Tech and our poster's on display. So we did not think at all about patenting because I didn't know any. I didn't have any patents. I didn't have any engineers in my family. I didn't know anything about that. We didn't think about raising any money. We didn't think about getting some new teammates. We didn't think about commercializing this in any way whatsoever, okay? So I went to grad school and I took this prototype, this exact one right here, and it was on my bookshelf for several years up in Boston. And so I got contacted by another student from the class, David Moeller. Now, he was kind of an acquaintance. You know, I knew his roommate really well, but I didn't know him that well. He contacted me out of the blue, and he was bored at his job at GE. And he said, Craig, I remember that crazy bike rack that you invented. Would you want to start a company with me and do that? And I was like, dude, I'm in grad school. Like, leave me alone. So he called me back, and he's like, no, really, like, I did some market research. You know, he came up with like the market size, and he came up with a cool name called the Claw. You know, that's like a much better name than Birac. And, you know, he did all the good business things and convinced me we should actually give it a try. So I was like, okay, Dave, fine. Like, I'll work on it on the weekends, the prototype. In my lab, I will use MIT resources for my own personal financial gain by improving the prototype. And, oops, excuse me, I want to play this video for you. Anyway, and we were able to improve the design. You can see it went from this scary like death trap to one that looks more like a giant ballpoint pen. See, and I've actually got it right here. See, you can just push the button and it clicks. See. So we were able to improve the design over like 10 other versions of it, and we did some market research, and you know, we were convincing ourselves like, man, this could be real. And this was the first time I had ever done this. You know, this was like moonlighting at MIT. Again, using the campus facilities. Ian Hunter's lab, who I'm forever grateful to. He let me use his machine shop on the weekends. The water jet cutter in the LMP and the wood shop at MIT. I was able to use that extensively. And by the way, for all the students out there, I want you to know that the MIT water jet costs $1 a minute for students to use. So as a grad student making $1,500 a month, I was spending hundreds of dollars a month on water jet time. And so when we got the first water jet here in 2009, one of my first priorities was that it would be free. So I was like scarred from that. So anyway, David and I ended up on a reality TV show.
Can this next inventing team keep the yeses coming with their new storage device?
We came here today from Boston, Massachusetts because we share a common passion for invention and solving problems in everyday society. That passion is what led us to this invention. Our long-term goal is to really have an impact in the world as a spokesman for the engineering community.
Will the thousands of man-hours spent in the lab pay off for this inventing team?
Hi, my name is David Moeller. I'm currently a first year at Harvard Business School, and this is Craig Forrest. He's completing his Ph.D. at MIT in mechanical engineering. We met while studying engineering at Georgia Tech and share a passion for inventions that can change the world. I introduce to you the claw.
On the right, we have the claw. And on the left, we have your more conventional J-shaped forged steel storage.
You mean a hook?
Right, Oh, right, a hook. Okay. So the way the hook works is the user's got to lift the bike, move it laterally, and then lower it. Let me show you. It's sometimes a little bit tricky. Yeah. You know, when you've got a 25-pound bike overhead, it's sometimes difficult.
Interesting. Now, how's the claw work?
Oh, well, in contrast, the claw just requires vertical motion to store your bike.
I don't understand. Why would I not just put my bike and park it as normal?
Peter, do you have a bicycle? Do they make them that big?
Yeah, I do. And you know what? I wouldn't want to hang it.
That's because you have a 22-car garage.
That's very true, actually.
I think we're ready to vote.
As an entrepreneur who invests in companies, I would invest in you too. I say yes.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I got so many cars and my bikes are getting in the way. This is the way to get these bicycles out of the way. I'd say yes. My vote is yes.
It just doesn't do it for me. It's a no.
Peter, it keeps the bike out of the way.
I think it's dangerous.
You got two yes. You need three to become a New York finalist.
I like it. I'm giving you a yes.
Thank you.
All right. You're a New York finalist.
Oh, man.
This is wonderful. It's over invented.
I'm telling you, this thing's it's great.
Okay. So this was a wild adventure, let me tell you. We spent the summer in LA on this reality show. It was broadcast on ABC over the summer. 10 million people per week watching. And this talk is not about me and this bike rack, okay? This talk is about that this fundamentally changed how I think of engineering. First of all, I had never built anything in my life that actually could become real, okay? And this actually became real, okay? We started a company and we actually sold 1 million of these things on Amazon and in Lowe's. And so that was the first thing that occurred to me was, wow, I can like actually come up with something that could change the world. That's pretty cool. The second thing was how these resources at MIT allowed me to, you know, late at night on my own with no rules, design and build prototypes until we got it right, okay? So you can imagine when I came back to Georgia Tech in fall 2008, shortly after doing this, I was determined that we should have a place where students could tinker like that because there was none. There was absolutely no place. Oh, gosh, I remember, this is a little bit of an embarrassing story that most of you don't even know. I had to sneak into John Graham's machine shop to make sheet metal brackets for my headboard for my condo the first month I was here at Georgia Tech. And I felt like I was stealing state resources by doing that. You know, it was very embarrassing. And inventors need to be uninhibited. You know, when you're worried like you're going to get in trouble, you inherently don't take creative risks. So that was the second thing, is the importance of having a prototyping facilities. And I'm forever grateful for MIT. And I think we've got a few people from MIT watching. And I'm forever grateful for the mentorship and the spaces that I had access to while I was there. The third key point I want to make, and maybe the most important point, is this TV show was powerfully motivating to me and also to the viewers at home. And remember I mentioned 10 million people watch. I mean, I would like to think that maybe some of those people, young people, chose to pursue their own inventions because of the show. And so the lesson is this: public events and celebrations of invention and entrepreneurship is powerfully culture changing. And Georgia Tech was not doing that in any way when I arrived here. So it was obvious that we needed to be doing something like that. It wasn't an epiphany, it was a clone. Ray Vito and Merrick First and Ravi Bellamkonda and I got together 2 months after I started here in October 2008, and we hatched the plan to clone this reality TV show into the InVenture Prize, okay? The InVenture Prize is a combination of the words invention and adventure. I love the name. And we launched it in October 2008, and the web hits were 10,000 per day. I mean, it was unbelievable. There were already hundreds. These are the number of people who signed up. 200 people signed up in the first month. These inventors were already on campus. They were hiding in their dorm rooms. They just needed a forum to come out and be celebrated. So we put that forum out there. This is the first center with, you know, it looks very much like that TV show, right? That's not by accident. We have 4 judges. We have Miles O'Brien, the host from CNN. We have one of our bright students here showing off his invention. And it's not just to help those students on stage, it's also to inspire the audience. And this has gone strong for 13 years. We pack the first center every spring for it. The fans dress up like their favorite inventors. Isn't that great? This inventor's a drummer, so all the fans dress up like drummers. And the winners get cash prizes, tens of thousands of dollars, and free patents. We love it, and they become celebrities on campus. You know, people need role models and celebrities, and you know, not just if you ask high school kids what they want to be when they grow up, they often say, you know, a baseball player or a musician, but you know, they need engineers as celebrities as well, so they can choose that career option. You know, of course, it's had lots of press. You know, it was on the front page of the AJC in March of 2010, I believe, when Bud Peterson started, March of 2010. NPR and NPR calls it American Idol for nerds. I love that. Okay, nerd power. And so there's been a lot of spin-offs. There's actually 3 other spin-off competitions now. There's the Georgia InVenture Prize, which has 25 colleges and universities from the state of Georgia every year competing. There's the ACC InVenture Prize, so all 15 universities in the ACC compete every year, and that's broadcast live in 5 states. So it's about 100 million households can watch that on television. And then the one I'm most proud of, and Ray and I have talked about this endlessly, our legacy from this thing is not the Georgia Tech InVenture Prize, it's the K-12 InVenture Prize run by Roxanne Moore, who's here today. 5,000 K-12 students in the state of Georgia compete every year in this competition. Here's the final round where the top 82 teams, that's like 1 per school, came to Georgia Tech to try to win overall. And look at 10,000 people watched live on Facebook. Look at this comments. This just brings tear to my eyes. I love how Georgia Tech promotes innovation for all ages. My son, a current 5th year, was a finalist at last year's InVenture Prize. I'm so amazed at all the great ideas that these young minds come up with. So proud of Georgia Tech. Ah, that is so great. That is so great. So as you can imagine, there are lots of current Georgia Tech students who competed in the K-12 InVenture Prize. Do we have any here today? Any K-12 InVenture Prize? Oh, not in this room, but there are lots. So back to this whole prototyping thing. Okay, I want to bring this back home for a second. You know, obviously the claw went through a ton of iterations, right? It didn't just turn into a final product like that. And how do you get there? Well, you need space. And so I want to tell you for a few minutes about the space that we've created here behind me, which makes that possible, the Invention Studio. So it all started with a water jet. I found all the original emails and photos, and I'm really proud to show them to you today. In January 2009, so 5 months after I started here, I emailed Bill Singhose and Rhett Mayer, because they had all the money from ME 2110, right, Bill? They were loaded. And I said, hey, guys, we need a water jet around here. Bill, you remember this, right? I said, hey, will you buy the water jet for ME 4182, that's the capstone class, and we'll put it in the room next door, and we'll make sure it's always available for you whenever you need it. We'll make sure it works. And he's like, okay. So we got the water jet. Here it comes. Okay, bought mostly with ME 2110 money. Here it comes into the building. There's Gerald Green unloading it. This is the first piece of equipment in the Invention Studio. Okay, oh, there it is, unwrapped. And now what do we need to do? We need to have a grand opening. Okay, so there it is, February 2009. I love this email because it really shows our thinking and how sort of narrow it was. So, I mean, I don't want you to think like there was some master plan here. Really, we were just reacting in real time. The Invention Studio is a place where our seniors, and then in parentheses, there's a clue, and other interested professors and grad students can build stuff. Last semester, we tweaked the capstone class so every team gets $500 and has to build a working prototype. They were building them in my own lab and on the floor of the MRDC. See, right here. That's why I wanted to have this talk here. The first prototypes for capstone were being built right here. So Bill Wepfer came to the rescue. Props to Bill Wepfer. He's in DC with his granddaughter right now, so he can't be here, but forever grateful for his support, and that's why this is called the Wepfer Design Commons right here. And he moved the shipping and receiving room to the MRDC basement. Carrie, you remember that? It was right here, the shipping and receiving room. We moved that, and we had a grand opening. And there's Bill coming to see his water jet that he bought. We got a cake, And we went to Home Depot and bought with some hand tools, and the claw company donated the Ryobi power tools, and there's old Waterjet, Old Faithful. Okay, so let's have a grand opening. Now, so we had the grand opening in March 16th, 2009. So it's just had 10-year anniversary. It's wonderful. And so next day, we're like, okay, let's open this sucker up. So the students start going in and using it, the capstone students. It was just for capstone initially. It was a little bit of a narrow vision. And we realized, oh gosh, someone could get hurt in here. There's like a water jet cutter that can kill you. We need some staff. So I go back to Wepfer. I said, Bill, would you help us maybe give us some TAs or some staff or something? And if you recall, in March 2009 was the bottom of the housing crash, and the department had a $500,000 deficit. So there was absolutely no money for staff. So I started begging. And I asked, now Ray, you remember this, and some others who maybe are here or watching, I begged, borrowed, and stealed, and we got some of the capstone professors to volunteer to staff the place. The first month, March 23rd to April 23rd, 2009, there were no students involved at all. These were professors. We had a grad student as a friend. Mark Kulik was working in my lab. We conscripted him. And the others are professors. If he's around, thank you very much. 3 hours during the week of April 13th, 2009. Ray, you remember sitting in there? Yep. We had to make sure the students didn't cut their hand off. That was the beginning. Then the summer came, summer 2009, the Invention Studio was totally closed. So in the fall, we thought, man, I can't get these professors to help me out here. We got to come up with something else. So we went to the capstone class, okay? Now remember, the capstone class has about 200 students in it, and they all need to build prototypes. Makes sense? So I said, hey, out of the 200 in this room here, any of you guys and gals, any of you already know how to use a machine shop by any chance? Maybe you had a co-op job, or maybe you got to use the basement in your parents' house when you were growing up to build stuff. And we got 10 volunteers. These are the original 10 undergraduate lab instructors, or now they're called PIs, in the Invention Studio, all from the capstone class. Now here was the key idea. There's one key idea behind the entire Invention Studio. I gave these 10 students the key to the room. There was a physical key at that time. I know, old school. And we said, here's the key. You can use this room 24/7 for whatever you want. You can work on your bicycle in there. You can sleep in there. You can work on your capstone project in there. But in exchange, I need to ask a favor. Would you be willing to volunteer 3 hours a week? And during that 3-hour shift, you won't be working on your bike. You'll be helping others from the class. You'll be helping them with that they don't get their hand cut off, that the machines work, and that it's clean, and so forth. Okay? So they're like, yeah, we'll take that deal. So it was awesome. We had all of a sudden 30 open hours. We went from, you know, this motley crew doing 15 hours to 30 the fall of 2009. And then we hit a jackpot with a tech fee proposal. Now, for those who don't know, this is a pot of money that Georgia Tech keeps, and it's for technology for classrooms. So we won the biggest tech fee proposal in the history of ME that I'm aware of, $184,000 for a whole bunch of equipment. I mean, look at this stuff. You got a laser cutter, you got 3D printers, and at the time, I know 3D printers nowadays are like $1,000. This one was like $50,000. This was the early days of 3D printing. They were very expensive. But look at the yellow here. This is a key of where our thought was. ME opened the Invention Studio, a facility where undergrad and grad students can create and build inventions. It has since been used continuously, often overnight, to support several courses, student clubs, competition teams, and creative students. So the thinking was becoming more expansive. It's not just capstone anymore. And so we took that money and we opened a second room down in the hallway here. Me and Ken Cunifair cutting the ribbon on that. And a couple students from that class really started stepping up. And I want to make sure they get their acknowledgments. And I hope some of them are watching. I know we have maybe 3 or 4 past presidents of the Invention Studio watching today online. So I want to make sure we give some props. And we have HK, the current president, here. And we have Tim Felbinger, the previous president, here as well. So the first leaders were Stephen Culpepper and Matt Emmerich. And they were like, hey, this is cool. We should have a club. So they went on Facebook and created the Mechanical Engineering Makers Club. See, it was a little bit narrow still at that time. The vision was a little bit narrow. I'm like, okay, cool, you guys go. Then they started having parties. You know, we had all this money from companies donating to Capstone by this time, and we had no labor costs. So we just used the money to party. So like lots of food and t-shirts all the time. So here is how the ecosystem started shaping up, okay? Capstone was paying all the bills. the Makers Club was running the facility, and this space was now available for everyone on campus. That was how it started shaping up. And then this thing started taking on a life of its own. This guy, Chris Quintero, who I hope is watching. Chris, love you, Chris. The first president of the Invention Studio emerges, and he's like, dude, this is awesome. We need a 3D printer called the Rep Wrap. I'm like, okay, what's that? Go for it. So we put that in the Invention Studio. Here it is. This is Chris. He emerges as the first president of the Makers Club. And he started all kinds of cool programs, like scheduling hours, like in a more formal way, and having training nights like Makers Monday. Everybody could come and get trained if they didn't know what they're doing. Get tours. There were tours. They set up the website, all these great things. I mean, it's endless. They started the Maker Fair. I mean, he started going nuts. He's like, I want to do more. You know, let me know if I'm getting in the way. I'm like, no, you go. I mean, he took my personal credit card and went to IKEA and bought the couch, the first couch. I mean, so here it is. For the students in the audience, I want to make sure that we give props to our very first Makers Club. And this group of people would never be forgotten, because they are the reason we're here today. This is Chris right here. This is Jameson Go, who started the MIT Invention Studio called ME MakerWorks. It's still running today. This is Eric Weinhofer, who started the Maker Fair, which had 10,000 people come. There's Stephen Culpepper, really influential early on. There's Zoe Wang, the second president of the Invention Studio. There's Clint. We had just hired Clint Reinhardt to help with ordering and many other things. And this group is just incredibly special. Twee Din in the background. Claire Barr, can't forget her. Claire, I hope she's online. Shout out to Claire. Look at this. I mean, this is the kind of things that started coming out of the Invention Studio. The Maker Fair was organized for the entire city of Atlanta. 10,000 people came out. It's just beautiful. The support team continues growing. You know, Carrie, Bruce, Sterling, I'll never forget your help early on to move things around and renovate things, adding air and power. Clint, I mentioned, joining in 2010. We hired Ahmed in January 2011 to really help. I mean, the sponsors were getting out of control. It was too much to manage. All the money was flying around. We were losing track of money. Mason joined, and Mason was a dear help and got to know a lot of the students so well, and really helped us tighten up our ship. Julie Lindsay came in as the faculty advisor in 2014, and ultimately the Invention Studio became sort of systemically integrated with the leadership of the department, as opposed to just kind of a motley crew on the side, through this formation of this Design and Fabrication Studio Committee in 2014. So that kind of made sure that it would continue in perpetuity, as you can see here behind me. So just to recap the scaling, initially, it's kind of like an M&M. You know, we got holiday theme here these days. We got the chocolatey center and then the candy shell. The chocolatey center is the students. Make sure you always remember that. The students are at the center. Trust the students. They're the focus. And then on the candy shell, you know, you got a faculty advisor, you got some chair, and you got some facilities help around the outside. One room and 200 users per month. That's how we started. One room and 200 students using it per month. And now, at the time that I took the snapshot, we had, I mean, goodness, 80 student volunteers. I think there's over 100 now. 6 elected officers, 8 masters, and 8 apprentices. The masters take care of the equipment. They sort of own the more complicated pieces of equipment in there. You know, over $1 million of capital equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And the impact started spreading beyond Georgia Tech. So my focus sort of shifted externally, and we got a chance to go speak at the White House several times about the Invention Studio, and that helped inspire others to start their own. Got to go visit the National Museum of American History and give a talk there about it. And then universities started showing up. I mean, this is ridiculous. These are tours that I had a chance to give in like 2010, 2011, 2012 to people who were like, how do I start this? This is awesome. I want one over at Boston University. I want one at Yale. And so just off the top of my head, these are some of the, for those students in the audience, I want you to know that, you know, our job is not just to keep this facility safe 9 to 5 here, but it's also to be a national role model, because these people are watching. When they see what is Georgia Tech doing about makerspaces and design build culture, we're on national stage every day in this room behind me. So these are, I hope you get a chance to visit some of these someday and see that they are also run by students, that their PIs also volunteer 3 hours a week in exchange for 24-hour access, and that it's also free to use, and you can also use it for anything you want, not just classes and research projects and so forth. Those are some of the things that make this special. So there was, of course, a lot of press and a lot of awards and research impact. You know, I want you to know this isn't just sort of an extracurricular thing. I mean, This really got embraced by the research enterprise at Georgia Tech. I know there were several faculty that won career awards and they did their outreach component in the Invention Studio. Julie Lindsay won a major NSF award for doing research in the Invention Studio. There were a number of journal papers. But going back to the students just for a few minutes, they started, there were certain classes they wish were at Georgia Tech, and so they started those classes. Here's a class on microcontroller programming that the students created and run at night. Here's a class on making steel roses. That's a fun class I wish I could take. This is like around Valentine's. What better to show how much you love your significant other than a beautiful steel rose? Here they had a guest speaker come and talk about machining titanium. This is all organized and run by the students. You just give them the keys and get out of their way. It's beautiful. Oh, here's a fun thing. So the Invention Studio culture started drifting a little bit, where it started getting a little bit macho and a little bit haughty, you know? And we wanted to tamp that down, so we realized we don't have enough diversity in here. So Alexis Noel stepped up. Is Alexis here? Maybe she's watching online. She ran the first ever ladies' night. We had 300 women, 300 Georgia Tech student females come out for this first ladies' night. And this was transformative for our culture because one of them, Laura here, became the next president of the Invention Studio. And there were several other leaders that emerged, like Veronica Spencer. Some of you may know Veronica Spencer. Came out of that ladies' night as well. Here's Veronica, excuse me. Yeah, giving a tour to some Girl Scouts. Isn't that beautiful? You know, I mean, tours to Girl Scouts. That's something we should have on our mission statement. So I got a little video that kind of summarizes the whole deal for you. A little 2-minute video I'd like to play. Mike, come on.
The Invention Studio is this magical place where they have basically every tool that you could possibly want to build something, and most of them are tools that no person could ever possibly afford.
What we're doing here is actually completely new, not just at Georgia Tech, but everywhere.
We're all teaching ourselves and teaching each other and creating a sort of collaborative environment where knowledge flows really easily.
It's kind of helping reshape and kind of mold the future of education, really into much more of this kind of maker, creator, hacker culture.
We went from having 10 students in one room to having 5 rooms, and we're up to like 60 students right now running the shop.
We keep the doors open, we keep the machines running.
We're sure that all of the safety protocol are met.
On a monthly basis, we have around 500 different people coming in from across 9 or so different majors.
When you really get mechanical engineers and you get industrial designers and you get material science majors and you get biomedical engineers and all these majors literally coming together and sitting down at a table, you get completely different ideas.
There are some really cool people here doing some really crazy things.
I was cutting out the lid and base for a Faraday cage for our particulate accelerator.
I'm working on improving my BattleBot. We've been playing around with making some jet turbine wheels.
I'm working on my steel string acoustic guitar.
I'm working on an experimental model aircraft.
I'm working on a 50-kilogram satellite.
In order to keep the Invention Studio open and available to all students, it takes lots and lots of funding. That money comes from our generous corporate sponsors, as well as the tech fee that we get annually. The great need is to have a building, an entire building dedicated to the idea of interdisciplinary design and bringing the maker movement back into engineering and engineering schools.
You know, join us next fall, a year from today, for a Makerspace conference, which will be hosted right here at Georgia Tech. It'll be the 5th one we've had. We're expecting about 300 people from 100 schools. It'll be over at the Georgia Tech Hotel, but of course the Invention Studio will be prominently featured. So this conference, a consortium of universities started it a few years ago. It's called ISAM, International Symposium on Academic Makerspaces. And of course the Invention Studio will be prominently featured and helping organize it. So just in case there's any doubt left in your mind about how near and dear this place is in my heart, I want to tell you that one of the most important events of my entire life, my wedding, We hosted my wedding rehearsal dinner. We hosted here in the Invention Studio. So Mason Hollenbeck, our fearless administrator, organized the whole thing. There's me and Roxanne on stage. You know, we had a band back there. We had all the 3D printers going. It was an awesome party. So there's only been 3 events here in the lobby that I'm aware of. We had this event, then we had Webfirst Design Commons, and now we have this event. So it's been a special ride. Okay, one last gear I want to show you quickly is Capstone. So just a final 3 minutes, and then we'll be on to some Q&A. So Capstone's been a hell of a ride. Remember I told you Capstone pays for everything? So we use Capstone as a vehicle to get money. You see all these companies here? They want to hire Georgia Tech students. I mean, as you probably know, Georgia Tech's ranked one of the #1 schools in the country by industry recruiters. So these companies were donating first $3,000, then $5,000, now $10,000 a semester to be a part of the class. They would put a project in the class, we give that project to the team, and then we take all that money and give it to the Invention Studio. So we needed a way to celebrate and show the sponsors what we had done, and we also needed a way to let the students show off their projects. So in fall 2008, so I started in August 2008, so this is the first fall, we had something we called the Capstone Design Expo. Now, I don't want to take all the credit for this. I know there had been in the past, I had heard rumors there was some previous Capstone poster sessions or some events. I'm not familiar with it. It certainly wasn't the case when I took the class in 2001, but starting in fall 2008, we started an event which we called the Capstone Design Expo. And look, there's no prototypes. You see, there was no Invention Studio. There was no prototyping in the class. I know it's hard to believe, but you could get a mechanical engineering degree from Georgia Tech in fall 2008 and not actually build anything, except for 2110. Props to 2110, our one hands-on course. So this thing started growing, and we had to move place over to the Nano building. So we got about, I don't know, a couple hundred people here at the Nano building, and by now we got some prototypes, yeah. And we got some big checks. You gotta have your prototypes and you gotta have your novelty checks, remember that, okay? A couple $1,000. Oh, and I remember the pushback I got on this, my goodness. The word on the street was students, you could not give students money. You had to give them Starbucks gift cards and t-shirts. But no, we found a way to get around that. We just credit their Bursars account directly. And that's still the mechanism today by which the InVenture Prize gets paid out and all these things. So of course we gave checks. And of course, I showed you this picture earlier. And what I love about this is, for these students, this is going to be a more like salient moment, a more memorable celebration of their undergraduate career than even commencement. You know, I mean, they're standing on stage getting this check. They're showing their prototype. I just love that, you know. So I've got a little video for that. I'll play that real quick.
We're here at Georgia Tech for the Spring 2013 Capstone Expo.
It's an expo which is a celebration of undergraduate student innovations. Students have been working on the project tirelessly for 16 weeks, which is either sponsored by a sponsor or they come up with their own inventions and ideas to really come up with a project which ends up being a real-world project that actually goes on to the market.
We are surrounded by the largest graduating class of engineering students in the history of American university education. We have 6 different departments represented here tonight: mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, computer engineering, biomedical engineering, and industrial design. The first time that we've ever brought so many different disciplines together in one place.
Engineering in general, it applies to so many fields. It's so diverse. You know, something that you take for granted, like applying your own makeup with integrated packaging. So much thought goes behind that process that it's beautiful.
Georgia Tech is consistently rated the #1 school in the United States for industry recruiting. These students are so hireable. Not only do they know how to design things and analyze things using the equations and all the fundamental classes they've taken, but now they're proving they know how to build it as well.
We had to make this all by ourselves, so it's starting from the bottom, like learning how to turn on a lathe, use end mills, use CNC. So to be able to say that we know how to like make something from scratch, I think that will set us apart.
This is incredible. I mean, we thought we were coming to some small
display type program for these seniors, but to see this many people with this many great ideas that are going to impact not just the local community, but also the world, it's amazing. It's truly amazing.
Let me tell you something about these Georgia Tech students. They are already so intelligent and creative and have so much initiative and independence that all we've got to do here at Georgia Tech to have them succeed beyond our wildest dreams is empower them. And so what you've seen tonight is their work. It's their creations, not ours. They've been empowered to achieve something beyond what they ever thought they could.
To, you know, this incredible event where we have now thousands of people coming in all these majors and so forth. And I encourage you to check it out. It'll be in December here in the McCamish Pavilion, I believe. One last word before I go. I can't finish the talk without mentioning the latest adventure we're on. And props goes to Ray for the brainchild, Create X, as well as Siva Kumar and Steve McLaughlin for the leadership. And my partners in crime, Rahul, on this, and many others, Joy Harris and many others. But Create X is really now changing Georgia Tech in a significant way. I mean, look at these numbers. This is unbelievable. 7 years, 300 companies started by undergrads and grad students. One of them has made $100 million. The total valuation of all these companies is $1.3 billion. That's nuts. And look how diverse they are. 45% of startups co-founded by women, 30% Black or Hispanic founders. So this is a really special program that we aim to have every student at Georgia Tech before they graduate have some chance to be a part of Create X. And you know, this is our flagship event, what we call Demo Day, and it'll be at the Fox Theater next August. And I would encourage you to come out and check it out and be inspired, maybe to take a leave of absence and start your own company. I know, you know, we got a couple faculty entrepreneurs in the audience, like Brandon Dixon, Todd Solchek here. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg for them. You know, do they see the students and then start their company, or was it the other way around? So this is my last slide, and I'd love to hear some questions. So start thinking of your questions. Two key things to remember as you go forth today, and maybe sleep on this tonight. Number one is trust the students. It may be obvious to you now, but it is in some corners of Georgia Tech, it's heresy. You know, you've got to give them the freedom and the responsibility. You got to trust them, and they will surprise you every time. And then Ray Vito also says you get more of what you celebrate. And so the reason why we were out there tailgating last weekend with a giant inflatable unicorn on the Tech Green with Angel Cabrera and Chris Klaus and the founder, the 24-year-old founders of this $1.2 billion company, the reason why we're out there is because we're celebrating, so we get more of that. So I showed you a couple, Yeah, you know, it's going to sound obvious in retrospect. You know, the students love it, right? The students freaking love it. I mean, look, they're in here right now. And the companies love it. The companies sponsoring Capstone love it, and the startup companies. But yeah, what's in between those two? It's the faculty, actually. So, you know, over time, a lot of faculty have come to embrace this. You know, here I see, you know, Devesh and Todd and Brandon, and I know that, you know, they you know, of course, Ray and David Koo over here. You know, there's a group of faculty and Singhos live and breathe this, but there's a lot of resistance, unfortunately, from the faculty ranks that this is not something universities should be doing, or this is too dangerous, or this is an abuse of funds, or, you know, on and on and on. But ultimately, you know, you got to do what's right and be true to yourself, and then, you know, hopefully you have a chance to give a talk, that kind of a talk where you're vindicated down the road.
You should give the challenge of actually holding this lecture here.
That's right. Oh yeah. What's the hardest part of this whole thing? It's figuring out how to hold a talk in the lobby of the MRDC. No. Yes. Go ahead.
Very inspirational. As you look forward to this sort of vision of what you think it can become, what do you think the biggest obstacle is to achieve that?
The next frontier. And Ashley, maybe we can take a question next, so I'll be happy to do that. Okay, Brandon Dixon asks, what's the next frontier, the hard part? Well, we've been blessed with the funding. I think funding is fine. I think political support at the top is great. You know, Steve McLaughlin, Provost, huge fan. Raheem, huge fan. Angel Cabrera, who spent 30 minutes at the tailgate with us last Saturday, huge fan. I think the curriculum is going to be a prickly one. Probably my least favorite place to be in the whole world, like, would be like in an undergraduate curriculum committee meeting. You know, there's a joke that, like, it's easier to change the course of history than it is to change a history course. You know that the whole faculty has to approve a textbook change? It's like really hard. Now imagine if you're like, let's turn this whole course upside down. You can imagine how hard that is. But no, we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll do some pilots. We'll do some experiments, you know. And if they don't work, we'll kill them. But if they work, maybe we can scale them up. You know, that kind of thing generally works. But yeah, I mean, universities by their nature, it's kind of conservative. It's not like an aligned missions all the time. But, you know, that's like boring stuff. Do we have any questions online, Ashley? Oh, good. And how many do we have watching, by the way? We have 30 or so online watching. Okay, great. What are the top tips for other universities? Okay, I get that question all the time, and I guess it depends specifically on what they want to try to replicate. You know, but if it's like the Invention Studio, I'll just take that one because that one's easy. You got to get a group of about 10 students in a room, and you got to say, look, we're going to open this space in like a month, and you guys are in charge. So come up with some ground rules. What hours is it going to be open? How can we be welcoming and inclusive? How can we be safe? How should we do training? How should we do maintenance? Who's going to work when? And just go for it. So start small, and then they will blow you away. I mean, you'll come the first day, and it'll be like a sign like this. I mean, the first sign, Gabe Ochoa made it. That wasn't something we had done outside. I mean, the students are making their own signs. It's beautiful. With the CreateX, we're now working to replicate the CreateX program around the country, and we are getting a lot of questions about that. And we're working on something called CreateX in a box. So any university can try out like one of our programs, and we'll walk with them for a semester. So if you want to do CreateX, let me know. We'll help you do that. Yes, a question in the back? Is that Wayne Book? Oh, welcome, Wayne. Great to see you here. Oh, it is. Oh, it absolutely is. Students, staff, and faculty. Oh yeah, I can tell you lots of great stories about that. Aaron Lanterman, I'm sorry, he's an electrical engineering professor. Aaron Lanterman. He's been in here working on his guitar. Yeah, you should be in here making your Christmas presents right now. Laser engraved shot glasses for everyone. Yes, sir.
What were some challenges with finding space in a building?
Oh my goodness. Space is the final frontier on campus. That is not an exaggeration. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it was every inch was a struggle. I mean, we were really blessed with Bill Wepfer to sort of protect this when it was in the embryonic stage. It was very fragile. It was very risky. And Bill Wepfer protected it early on with that room for the facilities that I mentioned. And then we expanded across the hall here where there was a sort of unused classroom, semi-used classroom. But then, of course, we did have to disenfranchise people. I mean, there were some people who were in that space, who were using that space, who, you know, there had to be some delicate decisions made about, well, let's move it here instead. And, you know, I mean, it's a trade-off, and that probably that's above my pay grade. So the bottom line is, if you get the line out the door, when the boss comes into work in the morning, we make sure there's a line out the door. Okay, that's the first thing. The boss has to see the current space is not enough. Then you got to order a couple big pieces of equipment and put them on a loading dock. And you say, like, gosh, where should we put this new laser cutter? I don't know. It just showed up. So you can kind of push on it a little bit, but ultimately you got to make the decision obvious for the people in power. I guess we have time for one last question. Ashley, are there any more online? Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do you deal with students in classes using the Invention Studio who aren't necessarily enthusiastic? Well, the key is it's got to be voluntary. You know, like some classes, there's about 40 classes that rely on the Invention Studio at last count. And let's say it's a dynamics class. Well, then they've got to say something like, hey, let's do a project over the next month, and you should make something dynamic. And look, if they want to use the Invention Studio to laser cut some gears, cool. But if they want to do in their dorm room and make some pendulums, that's cool too. I don't think you should force it on them like, hey, everybody's going to stand in a line and 3D print one after the other. That's just boring. You know, there's got to be some freedom. There's got to be some volunteering action. That's one thing that's special about it, is it's all volunteer. Okay, well, I see it's noon, so I want to be respectful about that. And I want to invite everyone to a reception on the 4th floor where there's plenty of food and drinks, if you want to hang out and mingle and have some chat on the 4th floor. And we have one quick announcement from our acting department chair, Steve Bogowski.
Not an announcement, stay.
Oh, pardon me.
Well, again, from the Woodruff School, Craig, we really do appreciate all the innovation and energy that you brought to the Woodruff School. And to sort of commemorate today, we're sort of passing along a new office decoration for you.
Thank you very much.
But again, thank you very much for everything that you've done. And again, from the Woodruff School, the students, the alumni, everything, this is, you know, your impact is huge. So
thank you so much. All right, thank you. Let's go upstairs. Thanks.
Can I get a quick picture?
Oh, sure, 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 sure.
Mask? No, I'll take off mask if that's okay.